The marketing agency model was built on a simple arbitrage. They charged you for access to people and tools you couldn't afford to hire or buy yourself. A writer, a designer, a strategist, an ads manager, a reporting dashboard, a media buying relationship, bundled into a retainer, monthly invoice, account manager included. AI just made all of those things available to you directly, and the industry is now living through what that means. Well, I think that marketing agencies kind of evolved for the worst. I've seen so many new companies hire these elite, or these so-called professional marketing agencies. And I would say more than half of them in the last, I'm going to say 7-8 years, just deliver overpriced garbage. And no, some of them are good, but a lot of them are just overpriced garbage. And, well, let's see. The numbers out of the holding companies tell the story clearly. WPP cut 7,000 jobs in the final months of their CEO's tenure. 700 from Ogilvy. I'm not familiar with that name. Ogilvy. Ogilvy alone. Dentsu eliminated 3,400 positions, roughly 8% of their global headcount. Interpublic Group laid off 3,200. The Omnicom IPG merger completed in late 2025 created the world's largest advertising holding company and immediately eliminated an estimated 4,000 more positions. Forrester analysis puts overall agency industry headcounts down 8% in 2025. On the client side, 60% of senior marketing leaders in the United States said they are spending less on agencies in 2025 as a direct result of AI. 82% of ANA members now have an in-house agency building internal capability instead of buying external retainers. The market itself is still growing. U.S. marketing agency revenue is projected at $192 billion in 2026. So the revenue is growing. The headcount is shrinking. AI is doing more per person, and clients are doing more themselves. So, yes. Now, a lot of the stuff that I saw was in the last 8 years in the crypto field. A lot of crypto companies would hire marketing agencies and they would just charge them ridiculous amounts of money for garbage. But that's the thing. And when I say garbage, it was like they would charge so much to put out like a piece of content or to poorly manage social media, meaning that they wouldn't engage or answer anything. They would just treat it like a bulletin board. And sure, I guess it works better than just not doing it at all, right? But then as we evolved, more and more people started doing it, and then solopreneurs started jumping in there, working with clients at a much more affordable price. And I personally have had nothing but bad results with so-called marketing agencies. Because, yes, the idea is they have access to a lot of stuff, but they overcharge for everything is kind of how it works. And the top agencies a lot of times just overcharge just because they weren't actually really providing anything better than, say, a really good marketing agency that really tried to bring value and was very efficient. It's just, it's just another one of those kind of things that's being disrupted, and rightfully so. Just like lawyers are going to get disrupted, and just like lame doctors will get disrupted. Meaning that the best doctors should be the people that actually have passion and didn't go into it just because they think that there's good money there, Anyways, let's move on. So here's the actual structure of what changed. A traditional full-service marketing retainer in 2026 runs $15,000 to $50,000 a month. It's a pretty high ticket, right? That price covered a writer, a designer, an account manager, a strategist, reporting tools, media buying access, and the agency's 20 to 40% margin on top of all of it. The price was high because building that team yourself was higher, so the math worked. An AI first approach, the same scope now costs between $800 and $3,000 a month. Between $800 and $3,000 a month. What would you rather pay? And starts producing output in days, not after 3 months onboarding. That's the other thing. A lot of these marketing agencies would do this forever onboarding thing to get up and running. A landing page in a day, a research-backed article in hours, a 6-week email sequence drafted, reviewed, and scheduled in an afternoon. Over 80% of Solopreneur AI users reported productivity gains of 20% or more in Gusto's 2025 research. All right, I might have got that first date off where I said retainer in 2026 runs, because I'm thinking they must have meant 2025 or earlier. The arbitrage worked when access was scarce. Anyways, the point is it used to be a lot more expensive, and now it's getting a lot cheaper because AI can just produce things. I mean, look at these images that I'm using right now behind me. That's completely AI generated on prompts that I didn't even create. And to be honest, I don't even review them because I reviewed them a few times. They looked good. Claude Cowork does the research, creates the format of image. Sometimes it's not perfect. Like, it's supposed to only have the image on the right-hand side for me, but this one it put text there, but it's no big deal. But if you look at the other ones, like the first one, boop, it's just kind of got, boop, and then next image right here, just the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so let's see. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. The arbitrage worked when access was scarce. Access is no longer scarce. Oh no, here we are. 800 to 3,000 a month, and starts, you know what? Let's go back here. 800 and 3,000 a month, and starts producing output in days. Not after a 3-month onboarding. I already said a landing page in a day, a research-backed article in hours. Yes, we said all that. Gusto's research. The arbitrage worked when access was scarce. Access is no longer scarce. That is the entire structural shift. Not AI being good at marketing, but AI making the tools free enough that the access premium disappears. And this is what we're going to see everywhere. And it is nice. I believe this is the era of the solopreneur, and I'm really about that. And I just did a video on the predicted one-man startup that will happen in 2026 that will do $1 billion of revenue. Hasn't quite happened yet, but we're getting closer and closer. Imagine you, yourself, me, myself, and I working with my AI agents and my automations and my AI agents. They're going to get better, being able to produce and do everything that can produce $1 billion in revenue. It's crazy. It's hard to believe that, because you go back to the 70s, and I believe it required at least 10,000 employees to try to achieve that. And then you move up to 2000, and it was like 1,000 employees. And then you move forward to about 2015, and then it was done with under 50 employees, like, for example, Instagram. And now we're starting to see it happen in like under 10. So one man coming soon. So stay tuned. So here's the honest list of what the agency model still does that AI cannot. Let's see. I'll give you my thoughts on this. Complex multi-brand campaigns at genuine scale. Maybe. Not for long. Coordinating 10 markets, 5 languages, 3 agencies, 1 brief still require human project management with real accountability. For now, not long. Media buying at negotiated rates with relationship-based inventory access and performance contracts is not something an AI agent can replicate right now. Not for long. All right, I'll stop that. Genuine creative strategy under pressure, the kind where the client has just had a crisis and needs someone in the room who understands both the brand and the politics. Sure, I'll buy that. That is still a human role. Yeah, for sure. The agencies that are growing in 2026 are the ones that identified this distinction clearly and repositioned around it. The data is unambiguous. Agencies that made no changes grew 1.1% last year, and agencies that repositioned their model grew 8%. Agencies that expanded their services range grew nearly 10%. So the model's not dead. The specific version of the model that completed on access and bundled headcount is dead. So I remember 2 years ago, coding will never be taken over. I had conversations with developers, coders about 2.5, 3 years ago, and they just could not fathom with the idea that there's no way AI is going to ever be able to code at an elite level, because there's just some things that humans just have to do. And every month it gets better and better, and it's moving up the ladder of the type of developer, engineer that becomes irrelevant. And we're pretty damn close to the top of the ladder. I give it 6 more months. And then it's only going to be a very, very select few of extremely talented developers that are going to actually really be worth more than, say, AI. And that goes for music, and that goes for language learning, that goes for call centers and all that stuff. So all this stuff here is simply the reason why everything that I just said can't yet be done that well with AI is because the two things haven't fully been solved yet, and that is having a human-like memory so that it doesn't drift and it can remember everything better than a human, and then just common sense. And once AI, which probably that's going to be solved because they're starting to work on that, they focused on just intelligence and intelligence evals. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to start to move to, memory evals, drift evals, common sense evals, because the intelligence of AI is already there, and it's going to get smarter. So that's not the problem. The problem is, can it stay on context? Can it remember things? Because right now it's like 10-second Tom. It's like a genius 10-second Tom, right? You guys ever remember that movie, 50 First Dates? So, two groups watching this episode, two different sets of next steps. If you are currently paying a marketing agency, run the audit. Line item what you are actually getting. For each item, ask, is this something AI can now produce at sufficient quality for my needs? Content, copy, email sequences, social posting, basic reporting. These are all yes. It's really just prompting specifically how you want the AI to write and be, because a lot of people are like, oh, it can't write like a human. Yes, it can. You just have to know how to ask it to do what you need it to do. You can model it after the best sales copywriters in the world. You can. You just have to give it, links and give it examples, and you can train it to be that way. Strategy for a product launch where the stakes are high, media buying with real negotiated rates, a team that is accountable if a campaign fails. Those are the remaining reasons to pay a premium. Sure, maybe, I guess, I suppose. I mean, I think things are going to be moving away from it's going to move away from this retainer, like you just pay for the work regardless of the results, to a result-based kind of a thing. It's like, look, if you can get me results and I don't have to deal with all this AI thing and it's worth the value, okay, let's do it. But if you're just saying we're going to do all this, no guarantees if it's going to work, but we're going to do all this, on this retainer, and then you would spend all this money and then you would fire them when it didn't work very well. And then you would be like, marketing agencies suck. I'm never going to hire one again, Know which ones you're actually buying before you renew. If you are a marketing professional or agency owner, yep, been talking about you guys, the positioning is clear. Stop selling tasks, exactly like I just said. You're not selling just tasks on a retainer. You're selling systems, and stop selling content production. Sell content strategy. Yes. Yeah, I mean, you have to have the strategy, but you also need the production. Stop selling execution, which, nope, you need the execution. Sell AI. Well, AI architecture should be basically exponential execution. The ability to build and manage the workflow your clients can't build themselves. The agencies that reposition grew 8 to 9%, while the rest grew 1. The direction is visible. The question is whether you move before your next renewal conversation or doing it. I'll give you guys a little example. I remember there was a company that was paying a marketing agency like $10,000 a month. And I said, look, I can build you a 3-man team from people from the Philippines that are doing more work than you're getting. Because they were basically just doing X amount of posts. They were putting out a certain amount of content. They were doing some ads like this, like Google ads. And then they were doing some press releases and article writing and, posting on blogs. And I was able to literally put together a 3-man team, one who was a much better writer, project manager, one graphic artist who also would manage social media. And then the other one was like a video production, what was it? Like VA. And they all kind of worked at what they did, but they all kind of shared stuff. Uh-oh. Did my light just go out? Yep, I think my light just went out. Well, the computer light's still here. Well, anyways, if I went dim, my light went out. But anyways, I was able to bring that price down to about 3 VA. And these were full-time employees that produced about 3 times more than what the agency did, because it was 3 people working full-time. In agencies, a lot of times you'll have a team of 5 handling like 10 different clients. They were doing 1 client. And it was about, I'm going to say, under $2,000 a month from 10,000. You can still do that, but now you just teach them how to basically use AI. So that's the key right there. So the marketing agency model isn't dead. The version of it that competed on access and bundle headcount is. So if you're a client, run the audit. If you're an agency, run the repositioning. Either way, the maths have changed and the direction is clear. So yeah, subscribe and we're going to keep hitting these topics. AI is evolving faster than I think we can even learn anything useful. Every month, it seems, every like 30 days, there's new LLM models coming out that are improved. So you build this, you do that, and then you run the risk of, well, AI can now do it easier. It's the world we now live in. Get used to it. And, there's a lot of people that aren't going to be up to speed. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Until the next video, guys, let's get it.